Is this where the damn drumming and the music kicks in?
Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Hello and welcome back to On the Pipe Podcast. Today is Tuesday, March the 10th, 2026, years after zero. I'm your host, as always, Tyler Shepherdson, and you are joining us just in time for an episode of OTP Tuesday, where we discuss results from around the country in the sport of off-road racing. We had some WORCS racing going on the West Coast. We had the Talladega GNCC happening over here on the East Coast in yet again another muddy, rainy, wet, dirty GNCC at Talladega, second year in a row, turned into a mudder. Dust on Saturday, mud on Sunday. We're going to talk about all of that action as well, and even talk about some familiar faces, some familiar friends of the program, racing some other series out west. Lyndon Snodgrass taking the win at the Mint 400. That is all I know of the Mint 400, but maybe we can pull up some results and see that. But thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. As always, we are presented to you by a Yamaha Motor Corporation. Yamaha has been a supporter of the show, a partner of the show for a couple years now, and we really appreciate everything that they're doing. A percentage of every bike that is sold, every thing with a motor that is sold from Yamaha goes back to be reinvested into the sport, doing things like making sure tracks stay open, making sure riding access stays open. They do a lot of stuff just behind the scenes of actual racing and the typical sponsorship that you see, and they do it in part of every bike that they sell, and they sell a lot of them because when people have the ability to choose what bike they pick, they choose Yamahas. We know this. Interesting thing coming out of the Racer TV interviews about Yamaha this weekend too. We'll get to that in a couple moments, but big shout out to them. Big thank you to them for revving our hearts each and every week on this here podcast. Joining me tonight is our buddy Big Rig Craig Oberholzer. How's it going today, Craig?
Just hanging out, doing well.
That's it?
That's all I got.
You don't want to elaborate?
I had steak for dinner, steak in Brussels, so I'm feeling pretty dangerous, really. Coker prep.
Shout out Bailey.
Shout out Bailey. Other than that, no,
Bailey's mom.
I got a.
Doesn't she listen?
Who?
Doesn't Bailey's mom listen?
Oh, Marty? Yeah, she hangs out a little bit.
Hell yeah.
No, all's good. Just hanging out.
Sweet. So yeah, a lot of stuff to discuss as we go throughout the country. I want to let you guys know the show is also brought to you in part by Zach Tussle at Raymond James Financial. Zach's a racer and a financial advisor that can help you win when it comes to retirement and financial planning. Go to TussleInvestments.com. You can find him on the socials. We just shared one of his commercials where he was on the news not too long ago on the OTP Facebook page. So hit up Zach Tussle, whether you're trying to save up for retirement or you're already retired and you need to find a way to make that money last you for the rest of your life. Zach Tussle can help you out. Works with a lot of racers throughout the industry. He is a racer himself. So hit up Zach Tussle. Let him know you listen to OTP, and he can let you know exactly what it is that he can do for you for free if you tell him you listen to OTP. Yeah, so, Craig, a lot of storylines of the weekends. We're going to dig up some results here in a couple of minutes, but just as a whole, when you're looking across the board, you're looking at everything that happened over the weekend, what's your biggest takeaway? What do you think the storyline is after this round number 3 of GNCC and round, of WORCS?
Privateers need motors. I know of 3 or 4 different guys that are out of their extra motors for the year. I think everyone, same thing as last year, dude. First couple rounds are wet. Everyone's ready to get some more dry conditions. Everyone's probably already sick of the mud. So,
dude, I'm saying, and also like that Racecraft race team, man, good dudes over there. Yeah. All good dudes. Want to see them all do well. But it's like, I think Thad popped his hip out on the first lap. And then Maggie helped him get it popped back in. I didn't see what happened with JoJo. Brody obviously on the XC2 podium. But yeah, we kind of talked about the privateer effect, and obviously they got a semi out there. They're not full privateers, but they're not full factory either. They got a budget for those bikes and motors, and bummer to see, especially Thad being vocal about just wanting to finish in every race. Yeah. And I don't think he's finished a race yet, which is gutting to see, especially seeing him riding so good at the beginning of these things.
Yeah, and actually the issues I'm hearing is starters maybe staying engaged, or the I don't know if it's the Sprag gear, some issues with that, but I know the same issues that some of these guys on the Racecraft team are having. I know of a factory KTM guy that had the same issue in the offseason. So not saying it's just the mechanic's fault, it's just, I think, just a wave of bad luck, so hopefully they can get it figured out and get the bikes where they can finish. But it's good. Brody's having a good season so far, so that's what shout out Brody for keeping her running. But I don't know. I actually reached out to JoJo after Talladega, and he did not holler back. So I don't think he's real pumped.
Dang.
So, but same thing with that. We'd love to see. I seen he put a post up, kind of gutted himself, kind of mentioning retirement's looking better when I can't keep it on 2 wheels. So
yeah, dude, that
sucks.
That was a bummer to see that one. Thad, I've been pretty vocal about it on here. Thad's always been one of my favorite riders, and just like to see him do well. I was trying to go back to this video. Let me pull this up on screen just because we're talking about JoJo.
Dude, how about Dale with the hole shot? Yeah?
Oh,
Brother.
yeah. Jordan Ashburn got it.
Dale Ashburn.
So, here's XC2 start. All right, here they are. Coming around the first corner. See them all there. You see that 501 machine of JoJo Cunningham dialing it in there around the corner. See where he's at? Good form. You know what I mean? He's got the jump. He's out front. All right. Trying to get a good shot of him, dude. I like JoJo. He's a little bit friend of the program. He's been on the program before. And, like to see him do well his first full year in XC2. And then, just a big old glob of mud. Straight to the camera, dude. So, JoJo, that was rude. That was uncalled for. No, I'm just kidding. I know he can't do anything about it. But that happened, dude, and I had my spots all laid out. Well, after that happened, I had to go straight back to the rig, take the whole lens front apart. You can still see the mud in the camera. Packed it in there all good and tight. But, I just thought that was pretty funny. JoJo roosting me on the start. It wasn't the first time, or it wasn't the last time that it happened that day. Seems like every time I get it relatively good that I would just get caked again. One of the spots in the video, I don't know if you remember, but I was standing there, and there was like a left-handed berm that was kind of rutted out, made perfect sense for riders to go in that. Right behind me, a little twig of a tree with a little trail going through it. Didn't make any sense to go through that, so I stand like kind of in that area. First couple guys come through, they hit the rut, and then everyone else, dude, came right behind me between that little twig of a tree. I thought I was going to get ran over every single time, but then I was standing in the middle of the track, so sometimes people will go outside, sometimes people will go inside. I'm standing in slick mud, so I can't, like, run and get out of there any quicker. And when they were coming on the line behind me, all of it was, like, straight down the barrel of the camera. So it's like every person that came, first step, make sure I don't die. Second step, if I film them going away, just eat and roost to the face, to the camera, to the hair, to everything. So, interesting weekend. A lot of times when the rain breaks out on these weekends, like at Big Buck, I usually switch over to the iPhone. It's waterproof. Yeah. You can drop it, throw it in mud, good to go. But I had a cover for the camera. Couldn't figure out how to put the cover on correctly, but we got it most of the way on. Brought the big camera out, and, I mean, that thing got destroyed this weekend. So that part of it, not so fun. But the race, a lot of tight racing between the top two, and then everyone else kind of packed in there.
Yeah, you're lucky you didn't get ran over. There's enough cameras out there you'd have been made an example of. You'd have been all over social media. Just like my buddy Mike Graham got ran over by the Bidwell Bullet at John Penton a couple years ago. And it's such a good clip. But, yeah, I mean, same thing with you. And it's wears on equipment, wears on everybody. I actually wanted to go down, but just the weather wasn't looking good enough. And I just, they lost $500 of an entry fee of me showing up. So. Since that's what it is nowadays.
Something like that.
But, yeah, hopefully I haven't looked at anything for next week, but hopefully Coker's, relatively good weather. And Coker's one
2 weeks.
Is that 2 weeks? Not this weekend, but next weekend, right?
Next weekend.
The 21st, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
So this weekend, off. Next weekend, Oklahoma City National Enduro. The next weekend, Camp Coker. The next weekend, my wedding. That's how I'm kind of keeping track of things these days.
Yeah. Shit. I got all my schedule in my mind is so screwed up. But yeah, hopefully, weather starts getting good. And I think all the rain usually happens in April and May anyway. So we might be getting screwed a little bit. Yeah. That's how it usually works.
Hopefully towards the end of April. But anyway, so, yeah, dude, it's like if you want rain somewhere, just schedule an off-road motorcycle race, and the rain will follow. That seems to be the way it's been going here lately. Florida, it rained on Friday and Saturday, but not enough to really affect it. It's sand, and I think the rain actually made Florida a little bit better. But, yeah, this Talladega track, dude, we get there Saturday, and the quads are racing, and you just see dust, dude, just dust clouds everywhere. So it could have shaped out to be pretty nice, but then – right during Supercross, the rain started rolling in. They actually shut off the Supercross viewing, told everyone to go to their campers and hunker down. So a pretty big storm came through Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, it was just like that light, piddly rain all day. And then all of a sudden, it would just downpour for a couple minutes. And then a lot of the pro race was just that light piddly rain, like just enough to completely ruin your goggles and everything else. But yeah, it sucks that those are the conditions we've had 2 years in a row. It's cool that they let us back after last year and how bad it got. This year wasn't as bad as last year, but I almost think that the lack of downpour in the day actually made it tougher because it made the mud so thick, so sticky, so slick.
Yeah.
And I mean, those guys had to have 100 pounds of mud on their bikes by the end of the race, but not a lot of standing water.
Yeah. Well, that's the bad part about it, too, is you get a new venue and something so cool like Talladega, and then you get 2 years straight of mud and just bad conditions. It makes the landowner think, maybe it's not all worth it, but, happy a venue like that lets us go race motorcycles there, and hoping next couple of years to see some new venues like that pop up, just hopefully better weather.
Yeah. Yeah, like Kentucky this year, too, and kind of one thing that I didn't think about is talk to Stu Saturday night. I was like, "Yo, where's the confidence at? How are we feeling?" And I mean, ever since last year, like when he's kind of projecting what he expects for this year, there's some races where he's like, I can kind of do okay here. Here, I'm not the greatest at. Talladega, I'm winning that one. Not even a second thought. Keep moving. So it's like he's been confident coming into this one. Saturday night, he said he was winning that race.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he got out there, and him and Grant just put on a show. Like, they were close for what seemed like a lap or two, and then after that, every time you saw them, the gap between third place and second place, that those two on that lead pack, it was like just so big. And at the end of the race, it ended up being 3.5 minutes. But one thing that I didn't even really consider that I heard Stu say in one of the interviews is obviously he's a 6-time National Enduro champion. He excels at National Enduro. He excels at reading trails, tight trails. And one thing about it is pretty much every new venue, every recent venue that we just started racing at in the past couple of years, Stu has won at it, including Talladega, including the Boy Scout camp, including I can't think of some of the other ones right now. But the thing I didn't think about is like that kind of lends its hand to that where you're breaking a lot of fresh trail, a lot of new trail, a lot of trail that people don't know. And so that trail reading that he does as enduro translates so well to these new properties because it's a race like Big Buck. I mean, everyone, all those guys, they know where every rock is. They know where each specific tree is. They know if one tree limb is hanging down a little bit, you got a duck to go under it. Like, they ride them so many times. So, like, these new ones, just one of those things that I didn't think about was how reading the trails at Enduros translates to one of these new properties that we haven't been to that maybe isn't dug down yet, that still got the fresh roots and still got the fresh dirt on top and trying to make a way.
Yeah, in which case, hopefully we'll have good luck at the Tennessee round and then the Kentucky one. Super excited to just kind of see what that's going to be like, because we know we had a venue a couple years ago in Tennessee, and I forget what it was called, Mammoth. And the first year they had it was really good, and the second year it was just a downpour. And I'm pretty sure Stu did well there, and someone's going to fact check me 2013 and say he blew up or something crazy. But, yeah, venues like that, and that's kind of where some guys are really good at the more open places, and maybe that's because they do U.S. Sprint Enduros or a full gas format, whatever. And then the National Enduro guys, I can definitely see where, breaking in trail and tighter new style race courses could definitely fit their suit.
Yeah, for sure. A couple other big headlines coming out of the weekend. The 5.57, the 8-time GNCC champion Caleb Russell did not ride in Sunday's race. Did they ever talk? Did you watch the broadcast? Did they say anything about it?
No, I didn't watch the broadcast.
It seemed like pretty common knowledge in the pits. I don't want to be breaking information as far as that, but it sounds like he had a pretty good crash there at Wild Boar. Might have tweaked his knee a little bit. But we saw him last year. I mean, that knee's swelling up, him getting it drained. He was vlogging about it and kind of said coming into the season that his knee was one of his things. So I think that just kind of aggravated his knee a little bit from what it sounded like. But no Caleb Russell and no Johnny Gerard. So Johnny Gerard, we saw him get off to a blazing start last week at the Florida GNCC, get out in front, and then ended up pulling off the race due to an illness. We caught up with Johnny on the show at the end of last year. He kind of walked us through the gamut that he went through last year between injuries and breaking the hand and messing up the shoulder and getting Epstein-Barr and dealing with sicknesses. So really was looking forward to Johnny G coming back healthy, which he did at that first round, and then he got out in front. And at Wild Boar ended up pulling off because of an illness. So didn't hear anything about Johnny. Didn't know if he'd be racing or not. But, yeah, so obviously those two guys leaving a gap on that XC1 road, two guys that weren't in the race, unfortunately. But this XC1 class is so stacked. It's so big. There's so much talent, and you never know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah, and with the wide variety of finishes so far, like it's kind of – you'd think if somebody had a bad race, like I believe Stu had a bad race at Florida, correct?
Yeah.
He had some issues at Florida.
Yep.
And then, he had a pretty good finish at round 1, bad at round 2, so you would think immediately he'd be way far back, even after his good race at Talladega. But just the variety of, track conditions and everything, it's made it pretty even still for everybody.
Yeah. And we'll get into the points battle here a little bit because we talked about it last week on the show about how there weren't any two consistent rides. Craig going 6'8" was the closest finishing positions between the two rounds. So the points are still a shakeup, so we'll talk about them after we look at the results from this weekend. But right now, I guess we'll go ahead and dig up some results. That's right, returning once again, DPG, Dimmer's Precision Grading. They're going to help us dig up some results from around the country. We're going to start out there on the West Coast because we can't go as in-depth on it because we don't really know what all happened. So we'll talk about those West Coast results, get into the official results from the Talladega GNCC. But DPG, they are a full-service grading and excavating company over here in the Greater Carolina region. So if you're looking for anything to get done, hit them up, dimmersprecisiongrading.com. They can get you dialed in, and also the DPG compound. He's got a moto track, obviously a grading company. They know how to run equipment, and they know how to build a racetrack. So they got a woods loop and a motocross track, and, opening up some more opportunities for open ride days, which is pretty cool to see. But, yeah, give them a follow. I think it's at DPG Compound and at Dimmer's Precision Grading. But they help us dig up some results here once again. Yeah,
they actually had open practice tonight, 4 to dark, so I'd say there's quite a bit of people over there. They had it all prepped up, and so everybody just want to ride over there, just check the Instagram. They usually show they'll have pop-up ride days, and they'll have some like kind of forecasted throughout the week.
I'm not a jumper, so I don't know how much moto is in my future, but the track looks sick. Like all the pictures and the videos and stuff they post, track looks sick. Have you ridden it?
Not the new layout, no. Just the first layout. I guess maybe not the first layout, but the one a couple months ago. So they just redid the whole thing over the winter.
Sweet.
So
also, speaking of moto, this weekend a qualifier at the Shoals, Loretta Lynn's qualifier going on down at the Shoals MX down in South Carolina if you want to check it out. But yeah,
that'd be good spectating, I'd say.
What the heck are we looking at here?
So I know we always talk about how some series have screwed up results. This is for the Mint 400. I could walk y'all through it if you want to see how screwed up things could be. You go to results, and you have to go all the way down. There's apparently trucks. Like I said, we don't know nothing about this stuff. But there's
Josh Koscheck raced it in a UTV.
There's also UTVs. There's trucks, UTV Pro coming all the way down, and there's going to be Open Pro Motorcycle. Then there's 1983 to 85 Sportsman Motorcycle. That sounds like me. That sounds like a whole lot of 500s.
Hooligan Sportsman Motorcycle. I think that was like old scramblers and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So we don't know much about it, but by God, we're interested. So you scroll all the way down, and here's the results for the Pro class at the Mint 400. Don't love how these results are, but we've been spoon-fed by GNCC, so we're going to complain anyway.
So taking the win, and this is one of the things that I saw on social media. I was trying to figure out what is going on, but Kieran, I can't even see.
Kieran Neeren
was nearing the finish line in the first place position. Our good buddy and friend of the program and OTP sponsored rider last year, Lyndon Snodgrass. We saw him out west. We saw him riding Kawasaki. We saw him getting back to his desert roots. He was out there. I guess Kieran Neeren was nearing the 4th lap, so he rode the first 3 laps and then turned it over to Lyndon Snodgrass in the 3rd place position. Lyndon Snodgrass then got on the bike, made up some time, moved into 2nd, moved into 1st, and ended up taking the win over. I mean, look at the rest of those names on there. Those are full-blown desert racing fools. Not fools, you know what I mean. Preston Campbell, son of Johnny Campbell, super cool guy. Dalton Shirey was out there as well. I don't know who their partners was, but that's the point I'm getting at. So all of the posts that I saw, all of the results I saw talked about Kieran winning the Mint 400, and they did the podium interview and just said only he won, and then these results only list his name, and the caption even read that Kieran won. And I was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, why? If it's a team race, why don't they list them both equally, especially when Lyndon got the bike in 3rd and made the pass for the lead, took the win?
Yeah.
I need some representation out there.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And watching the interview on Lyndon's Instagram or Kieran's Instagram, they were Ducati Moto was tagged in it.
Yeah.
He was the first one to say, hey, we had a good day, had a good position, and then pass it off to Lyndon. He's the one who did this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And Lyndon was seen with the interview as well. So both riders, talked about how the ride went, and Lyndon was given credit. But as far as social media and having 2 riders up there, they just said Kieran Neeren was the winner. I thought that was a little interesting. Also, Lyndon, your hair was absolutely screwed up.
Yeah, dude.
Put a hat on.
Yeah.
If I would almost just pull this thing up. I know you can't say much. I got my hair cut down right now, so I'm all right.
Lyndon had the lettuce flowing.
It was not good.
Dude.
It was not good. Handsome guy. Holy shit, his hair looked like crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to your point, first lap for Kieran Neeren, 2nd, then 3rd, and I can't really see the lapse time between Preston Campbell, Dalton Shirey, how everything goes. Lyndon gets the bike on the start of the 4th lap, I'm assuming. So first 3 is Kieran, second 3 Lyndon. He gets into 2nd, 1st, and 1st. So,
but see, even on here, I want to see who Preston's partner was, who Dalton's partner was, but it doesn't even list them here in the results.
Yeah. Maybe I could do some quick detective work and say, but
nothing bad about this Kieran fella. Obviously, he rode a really good race to keep it in 2nd and 3rd that whole time, and I don't know what the funding was. I don't know what the team was. I don't know anything about this. So putting it out there that I'm just a big dumb doofus talking about it, it just came into my radar because we know Lyndon. We're buddies with him. And
yeah,
he was part of the winning team, but it's nowhere did I see Lyndon's name. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They could have been doing that for years and years and years, and we're just not familiar with the desert game. But I just thought it was odd.
Yeah, and just for public info, Preston Campbell's pro motorcycle class, that's kind of crazy, that's what the class is called, pro motorcycle, is his partner was Nolan Cate. Never heard of Nolan Cate, but it looks like he's
Nolan Cate?
No, never heard of him.
No,
did you just make that up?
Yeah.
That's solid. Holy shit. And then just looking it up, just to give some people some credit here, we got Dalton Shire out front in the Mint 400. Trying to look up. Yeah, see, I don't even know how to. I'm looking at his Instagram trying to find it, and no idea.
Yeah, so yeah,
that's kind of nuts.
I don't mean that to come off in a bad way. I just thought it was interesting that they just run with one person's name. But yeah, shout out to those dudes getting it done. Lyndon and Kieran taking the win at the Mint 400 in the Open Pro Motorcycle. I did see another random clip that a UTV finished in under 7 hours for the first time ever. So that was cool.
Yeah, I wish I knew a little bit more about this, so maybe in the future, kind of, because I think there's a couple of different events like this, right? There was one in January on the events or the results here whenever I was looking it up, and then there was one this past weekend. So I'd like to maybe keep my eyes open and learn a little bit more about it so I don't talk in circles next time, but just Hoonigan motorcycles, 83 to 95 motorcycles, right up our alley. So
yeah.
Keep our eyes open for that next time.
Dude, those desert races are cool. All I know is Vegas to Reno, and I guess there's talk on the street we might be going back this year. But that is my only experience with desert racing. That's where I got to chat with Preston Campbell quite a bit. But yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
It's like hard enduro. Like, it's super interesting. All the guys are cool. The coverage is cool. I want to learn more about it. It's just tough without being there.
Yeah,
and getting in the mix.
And if you've never done it, it's I've never done desert racing, but I've done a WORCS and an NGPC, and that is a different kind of sketchy. So
yeah.
All right.
Speaking of WORCS, we'll check over with our buddies over at WORCS, and taking the win was Dare DeMartille on the factory Beta. I was trying to see if his number was there. He's number 1, right?
Number Juwan.
Yeah, so the reigning champion, Dare DeMartille, gets it done aboard his Liqui factory Beta in the number 2 spot. Another good buddy of the program, another transplant Australian over there on the West Coast, making it happen in the desert. Mason Simmons gets it done on his factory KTM in the number 2 spot, and taking third place in the 450 Pro class was Justin Hoft aboard that Yamaha, letting that thing just rev his heart out in that desert. Boy, Lake Havasu, Arizona, one of the most, I would say, well-known WORCS races. We all see the creek jump carnage and everything going on out there. Tyler Lynn in 4th, Giacomo Redondi rounding out your top 5 for our Pro 450 riders. We'll take a look at our Pro 250 class. And taking the win there was Sam Pretscherer in the number 1 spot aboard his Honda Racing machine. Cole Zeller in the number 2 spot, and rounding out the 250 Pro class podium, Noah Gordon getting it done on the KTM. As we check out our WORCS racing out there, Arizona, Lake Havasu. Check in now with our women's pro class, see what they were able to do out there at WORCS Racing. Be cool to get out there and check one of these things out sometime. Really, like I said, get boots on the ground, figure out what's going on out there. But taking the win was Michaela Nielsen, also aboard a Honda. Lauren Woods in the number 2 spot on a gas, and Dana Rayner would round out the podium with a 3rd place finish in the women's pro class. So that is what happened out with our buddies on the West Coast. Now we move back over here to the East Coast, from Daytona International Speedway to the next week being at Talladega Super Speedway. The second running, the first annual Talladega GNCC. Yes, that is how that works. The first one's the inaugural. The second one is the first annual. So nevertheless, it happened. Stuart Baylor Jr., he has a bike in the Talladega Hall of Fame. There will never be another first ever winner at Talladega. He got it done last year. He goes back, backs it up again this year, takes the win undefeated down in Lincoln, Alabama, taking the win aboard his factory Kawasaki. Liam Draper would end up in the number 2 spot. I don't want to say gifted the position, but kind of gifted the position. Liam rode a really good race. He hung in there tight. He was in the lead of that second pack of riders throughout most of the day. He rode a really good race to get into that number 2 spot overall. But as we mentioned, Grant Davis and Stu Baylor putting on a show for the crowd all day long. They got quite the gap opened up. On the last lap, Stu was having issues with his controls. He runs the big elephant ears in the mud races. Was having issues, thought his throttle was sticking, thought his clutch was slipping. Turns out both of them were just getting a little bit of rubbage. So ended up getting that adjusted, figuring it out, and keeping on. But somewhere while he's dealing with those issues, Grant Davis was able to get by him. So here on the radio, some of the guys standing out in the woods, sounds like Grant Davis is out in front first. So one of the last camera shots that I got was then coming by just before the 6-mile marker, and Grant Davis, sure enough, was out in front. Stu Baylor close in tow as they went into that section. I go over, there was another spot coming down just past the 7 near where the creek where Grant buried his bike last year on the last lap. Instead of running through that creek, they ran up the high side and out and around it. Got super gnarly, super deep, super rutted. By the time they got back there, Stu Baylor had moved back into the overall lead. When Grant Davis came through, the bike was not running good. It didn't sound good. It smelled like it was running hot. It was like, dang, dude, like you guys got a gap. limp it on in, make it to the finish, and then I guess he ended up having mechanical issues around the 7.5 mile marker. So roughly a mile after where we saw him last on camera, ended up bike shutting down on him and not able to finish the race. But it's tough when you're going through these results. You can't talk about these results without saying how impressive that battle was between Stu and Grant and Liam Draper. Obviously, the beneficiary of that, Ben Kelly, even bigger beneficiary of that, given he does have the white plates, the points lead currently coming into the round and also coming out of the round. So Ben Kelly, dude, he was towards the back of the pack early on, and he did what Ben Kelly does. Ben Kelly is always going to be there. Ben Kelly is always going to be strong, and he stayed right there. He stayed consistent. He worked his way up through the pack and salvages a third-place finish. And it's tough to say salvage when you're talking about an overall podium in the day and age of GNCC racing that we're looking at right now. But for Ben to work his way up through the pack and get to that third-place spot, save those much-needed 3 points even just between fourth and third. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has a 13-point lead now, so it could have been a 10-point lead, and it makes it that much closer. We've seen these battles come down to the wire. We know how much every single one of those points count. So Ben Kelly able to get up there, put it in the 3 spot. Liam Draper also getting 25 points for staying right there, ready to attack and get that second place spot. So bummer for Grant not to finish, but Liam was there and takes a hold of that second place spot. Josh Strang, we talked about him last week. He gets a 5th place overall last weekend. Obviously, employee and teammate Cody Barnes was on the podium last week. Jack Walker wins XC2 last week, and Strang gets a top 5. And kind of going back and forth is like, dude, a top 5 ain't what it used to be. You got to earn top 5s. It's the level of competition, how tight these battles are. It's insane. Josh goes out there, does one better. Tough conditions after tough conditions. Strang is still there. His 20th year of racing GNCC, back-to-back top 5s for him. 4th place this past weekend. Probably would have had a strong running at Big Buck. He's good in the mud. But ended up having bike issues on the very first lap, and since then doing his best to regain redemption from that, going 5-4 in these past couple weeks of racing. And then Mike Wachowski on the Dale Jr. bike, the Phoenix Racing Honda, would round out the top 5. Craig, what's your thoughts on those guys and how that race ended up shaping up at the end of it?
Well, first off, I can't get over the number 3 and the number 8. Perfect graphic kit, like the Phoenix Honda guys made the bikes look sick, I thought.
All right, so
go ahead, dude.
I got to be true to myself. You know what I mean?
Say
can't be fake, can't be phony on the show. I was told that this was happening, and I had very high expectations. So good part of that could be on me. I feel like they missed the mark.
Yeah?
It was cool. It was cool. They had the 3, they had the 8. I just think they could have leaned into it more, dude. Like had Phoenix in the good wrench lettering above the rear number plate. Like that's what that car is known for, is that specific styling. So like they had the 3, but the 3 was also missing an outline, but it was the Dale Earnhardt 3, but and then same thing like with the Budweiser on the 8 on Wachowski's bike, and I think most of the other Hondas had the same graphic kit that Mike was running. Jordan was the only black one with the 3, or like something about the Intimidator. Like it was such a cool concept. You're at Talladega, you got the 3, you got the 8. They did put like a little gray at the bottom of the shroud with a red line, and had another number 3 right there. I thought that was pretty cool. But man, I wanted to see Phoenix above, like down there by the airbox or by the rear number plate, like in the Good Wrench lettering, and then like a little Phoenix logo in blue, like the Good Wrench logo. It was cool.
Yeah,
it was cool to see. But I feel like it could have went above and beyond. But it was still a really cool concept. Had the right 3, had the right 8. I shouldn't have went on this big of a rant about it, but really cool. I still love it. Could have been all time.
I'll tell you, I landed. Well, okay, I'm not gonna start getting shit talked now, but I seen Dale Jr.'s 3 jets at Statesville today. The hangar was open.
No big
There's
deal.
a black jet here, and then there's one in the back sideways. And I seen it, and I got chills, and I immediately thought, Mike Witkowski does not live far from that Statesville airport, and he needs to have his motorcycle sitting in front of that hangar door with 3 Dale Earnhardt Jr. jets. They're sitting right there, public knowledge. Right by it's just, I did. I seen it, and it chills up my spine. Back to the racing, I think all this just goes to show you how being consistent is so important. BK having not the best ride at Big Buck. I mean, he finished, but he wasn't top 3, correct?
Yeah, wasn't it 9th?
Yeah, it was something pretty far back. And now we're just got done with round 3 and 13-point advantage. And that's just what wins championships. Same thing I've always talked about, Jordan Ashburn in the past. The year, even before he won his championship, he was always podium. And I was like, that's what is going to win you a championship. And coming into the year, I think it was a big thing. I was talking about Ben Kelly and, Ben Kelly. Really, it was Grant Davis against the world. That's what everyone was saying. The kid did it from the back row so many times last year. He's going to be on a 350. He's going to be better. Grant Davis is an absolute talent. You can't, deny it, but him having these issues, that's the kind of stuff that can let championships slip away.
Dude, 2 blanks.
2 blanks. You got a guy like Ben Kelly who, straight up outran him at Wild Boar, can do it, did do it, and he's got points on the board at all 3 rounds, correct?
Yep.
So
9-1-3 for Ben.
So that's what it breaks down to at the end, and then every single person in this top 20, They all know that's what you're chasing. You're chasing points on the board. You will have bad rounds. Everyone will have bad rounds. BK had a 9th, and hopefully that's going to be his worst. That's the way he's looking at it. But points on the board is the biggest thing. So just keeping your bikes together, just consistency. That's all you got to have. That's the biggest thing.
I mean, even in one of those, I think another thing that I saw Stu say on one of the interviews is talking about getting off to so many bad starts and really panicking on the first couple laps, got to get to the front. And then we've seen some of these bike issues or some of these crashes that break parts off, and it just slows you down when you don't have a shifter, you don't have a brake pedal, you don't have a brake lever. But him kind of mentioning that championship long haul, because I think Ben Kelly said in one of his interviews, I'm not here to win the race, I'm here to win the championship. And so it's managing those bad days and making the best out of the bad days. The championships are won on the bad days. They're not won when you're in the center of the box unless you're winning 8 races a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben Kelly being the one to salvage 3 scoring rounds so far this year. Liam Draper, another one, 8-13-2. Witkowski, 10-4-5. So Witkowski, not the best finish at Big Buck in 10th, but still. A top 10 is still really good for a bad day.
There's a lot of guys in this top 20 that haven't scored points at every single round.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big thing. In years past, you don't hardly see the guys in the first and second row not scoring. There's not a whole lot of DNFs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for this year starting off like it is, and that's why I was really stressing on consistency, because there's more DNFs in these first 3 rounds than I remember in the past.
Yeah.
So everyone's really just got to, buckle down and look at it and be like, all right, we got to keep points on the board. We got to, keep the ball rolling, because you have 1 or 2 DNFs. Well, the guy that you're racing neck and neck with, same speed, maybe you're faster, but he put 2 10s up when you put nothing up. And that's huge at the end towards the end of the year.
Yeah, what's that? 15 points, 14 points for 10th?
Yeah, well, just not to kick him wide. Well, he's up now, but like Stu Baylor the year that he won XC1 points but didn't get overall points.
Yeah.
Well, he ripped his back open at Sumter and he couldn't race Big Buck.
Yep.
Well, he had 1 no-point round. If he would have had points that round, he would have been retired last year because he would have already got his overall championship. But so can't say it enough. Points on the board and keep the ball rolling and don't get hurt and keep the bike running. And it's so much. It's a long series.
Yep. And like I said, it's managing those bad days. And a perfect example is Jordan Ashburn.
Yep.
Jordan Ashburn, another guy that has put up points at all 3 rounds so far this year. He's gone 2-9-8. And when you look at the results from this past weekend, you think, oh, Jordan must have had a bad race. Jordan was off the track. Jordan lost a ton of time. And Jordan rode his ass off to get back to the top 8. Like, he disappeared from my sight when I was filming for a while, and then all of a sudden he started creeping back in, and then he started getting closer, and then he was in front of a couple people. And at the end of the day, he finished 8th, and I can't believe after everything that he did or everything that he went through to keep that bike on the track that he was able to go out there, and work his way up to 8th place. But that is a perfect example of Jordan Ashburn's XC1 overall championship. He was there. He won 2 races that year, but he's always there.
Yeah.
And just riding the consistency all the way to the end. But yeah, so a great ride by him. As we go back up our results to 6th place overall, Nick DeFeo regains the XC2 points lead. He takes a pretty dominant win over XC2. I think it was like a minute over Brody. Wasn't that big of a time, but he was 5th on the first lap, kind of worked his way up through the pack, and never really wavered once he got back up to the front of the pack. So yeah, about a minute over
2 minutes.
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Oh, that's an XC1 guy below him.
Yep. 2 minutes.
So 2 minutes over Brody. So Stu by 3.5, Nick by 2. I mean, those guys, the conditions get like that, dude. And I don't know what it is about Nick. They asked him after the race what it is that makes him a good motor rider. His answer was a simple, I don't know. But whatever it is, he is a heck of a mud rider. He goes out there 6th overall. Craig DeLong, 7th overall in the XC1 class. Jordan, we talked about him in 8th. Brody Johnson, another 2nd place finish on the day in that XC2 class. So staying right there in that XC2 championship hunt. Obviously, bad round at Big Buck for Brody as well, but capitalizing it with 2 seconds in a row between last weekend and this weekend. So getting that Racecraft Husky machine up there to the box in that XC2 class, hanging tough. Josh Toth back in the top 10 overall. A couple bad races in a row for Toth here over the past few weeks, but he rebounds, feels comfortable on the bike, getting back going, obviously still nursing that broken femur from last season and kind of riding his way back into shape from what he told me. So solid ride, especially in the conditions for Toth to go out there, get a top 10. 11th place overall was our top amateur of the day. The 250A class winner, 11th place overall, just outside the top 10. Mike DeLosa, dude. Mikey D getting it done. Big shout out to Colton Shields, dude. Colton Shields was ripping early on, and then all of a sudden I saw someone in the same gear as him, close to him, and I'm like, what is going on here? What am I seeing? And I was like, oh, that's a Yamaha. Oh, that's Mike DeLosa. So Mike DeLosa, dude, he made that post, I think last week or the week before, that this is the first season that he's come into healthy since he can remember. He's making the best of that opportunity, putting together a top amateur ride, 11th place overall on the day for Mike DeLosa. Great ride for him. Awesome to see him up there. Chase Landers in the number 2 spot in 250A. I guess he was sick for a lot of the week too, so for him to grit down, dig deep, and get up there 12th place overall, great ride by him as well. Gavin Simon getting his first XC2 Pro Class podium with a 3rd place in the XC2 class, 13th place overall, and then Lane Whitmer, 3rd place 250A, 3rd place top amateur on the day to round out that top amateur podium. Anybody else? I guess we can go through the rest of that. Colton Shields with a top 15. Jack Walker hanging tough. I believe 4th place in XC2 is where Jack would end up, 16th overall. So, like I said, he came in with the white plates. So still putting together solid points. 4th, obviously not what you show up to the races for, but still solid points when you're looking at the whole overall picture. Swole Cole Whitmer, 17th place. Toby Cleveland read his post today, said that he's been hurt, wasn't even planning on racing this weekend, and ended up last-minute decision going out and racing, getting a top 5 in XC2. Caleb Wood put together a really good ride. He was up there in the mix of those top AM guys for the first couple of laps there. He was settled for 19th place overall. Cody Barnes had to pull off for some reason. Didn't see what ended up being the issue for Cody, but he got back out on track and scores the final point with a 20th overall.
Yeah, something I wanted to bring up too. I just kind of been thinking about it. Like the amateurs this year, really, really on the ball. Like seeing Lane last weekend at Florida, just video coverage of him getting up into XC2 so far. And maybe it's just because we don't have as many XC2 guys. Like we usually have a shit ton. Usually XC2 is pretty long list. But just seeing the guys getting 11th overall. Mike DeLosa with 11th overall. It's pretty solid. Usually I feel like I see more of a separation between the amateurs and the XC2, and it's just everybody's riding so well early on in the year, so it's good to see.
I mean, even those first couple of laps, the amateur guys, the A guys were in the overall.
Yeah.
Top 3 spots, top 4 spots. And while we've been talking, it's hard to keep an eye on the video stuff, the audio stuff, 2 computers, a TV, monitoring everything, and keep up with the chats as they come in real time. So you guys know we like to read the chats. We appreciate you guys being a part of the show and bringing them up. Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to catch it, and then when the results are up, the boys, Craig and Tom, aren't able to see the comments either. So try to keep up with them the best that they can. But, Craig, to that point, I did glance over and see some stuff here, a little bit of back and forth in the comments. Paul Alley saying last year XC2 was all in the overall mix. Now 250A, talking about Cooper Jones, looking good. And then Michael Putnam goes back and forth with him a couple times and says, I wonder if it's because XC2 got smaller and less traffic. So that was the main thing I wanted to bring up. And then right after that, Michael Putnam and I think someone else said it too. Oh, yeah, Michael Putnam brings up XC3 class too. So that is one of the things that we could be seeing. I mean, last year, it seems like the storyline for Grant doing what he did was a smaller XC1 class, and then that big gap. They got a full 1 minute gap, and so he was able to get up to the lead pack, or the back of the pack rather, for the XC1 class, and kind of be in the overall mix from there because they were so close. And so he'd catch that train and just stick with them and kind of follow people up to the front of that pack as well. Now that is a big point to look at because we have seen our top amateur riders getting high up in the overall. And you got to think, one, the XC2 class is a half to a quarter to a third of the size that it has been in years past. Yeah. Right around 10 riders, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. But then you also don't have XC3. And those XC3 guys, the top 2, top 3, were rippers. Yeah. And then it was a pretty big fall off after that. Same thing, XC2. There's a big difference in the guy that's out front and the guy that's in 15th. You know what I mean? In speed, there's a huge difference. And all those A riders have to work past those guys where they're not slow, obviously. Yeah. But they're not on the race pace, and you have to find an opportunity to get past them. Well, now those A classes are starting. There's not an XC3 class at all, and there's a smaller XC2 class for them to kind of less traffic to get in the way, and I think that could lead to some really impressive overalls. What if we see an overall podium out of an A rider this year? I don't think you can count it out.
No, I don't think you can count anything out. And looking at it too, looking at these names. The 250A guys you're looking at, and the even Open A, Cole Whitmer. I mean, they're amateurs. They're veterans of the class. I mean, you see some guys that hit A class 2 or 3 years and then go to XC2. And I think we've had so many conversations about the support not being there for XC2 and these guys be able to make a living to even go to the races. So these guys, 250A, they are just as fast, especially on the practice days, as some of the guys in XC1 and XC2 whenever they're training with. All the videos you see from Florida in the off-season, everyone's together. Pretty much everyone you see is down in Florida, or like Mike DeLosa, he's usually with, Brody and John. And I think maybe Colton Shields some. I've seen those guys at Bollinger's training over the last couple of years, and then now they're down in good Florida. And Brody's with, Grant Davis. So you see a lot of these guys training with the faster guys, and it's no real big surprise, but it's awesome to see. It's showing that they're going to be ready, and hopefully in the next 2 years we're going to have another big XC2 class with a bunch of good talent in it. Yeah,
and iron sharpens iron. I mean, I grew up wrestling, and you see the guys in the room that take the easy way. You know what I mean? You want a light day, so you go pick a guy you can bully a little bit, and then that's how you grind out your practice. Or you can go find the guy in the room that you think you're going to lose to, or find the toughest guy in there. And that's who ended up becoming the better wrestlers, is the guys that are going with the best competition. So kind of to your point, these guys training with the guys that they know are their speed or even a little bit faster and kind of chasing them down. I mean, I think we've seen it pay dividends. I mean, you mentioned Brody and Grant training together. I think that's a perfect example of what Grant has done and what Brody came on to doing the last half of last year and starting out this year. So it is cool to see that stuff. But, I mean, when you're looking at these results, too, Gavin Simon, his first XC2 class podium, he was one of the guys that was in contention for the top AM honors for the year last year and the last couple years. Well, now his first year in XC2, and he ends up getting an XC2 podium, third race in. But you go outside of that, Mike DeLosa. You talk about these veterans of the classes, Mike DeLosa, Chase Landers, Lane Whitmer, Cole Whitmer. Colton Shields is still super young, but, I mean, he's been riding his tail off here lately.
Yeah.
But had Gavin Simon still been an amateur, he would have barely been on the top amateur podium. And had DeLosa still been in XC2, he'd have an XC2 podium.
Yep.
Right now. And so, I mean, that's the level. I think these, with Grant moving out, with Cody moving out, I think the line between the A classes and the XC2 classes is going to get blurrier and blurrier, especially now with less traffic for the A guys to get up to that XC2 class.
Yeah, and at the same time, most of the rounds we see the XC2 and XC1 getting pretty blurry. So, iron sharpens iron, and I do like seeing the 250A guys like Mike DeLosa getting almost into the top 10. I mean, we've seen some guys in mud races for sure get top 10, I think. I can't remember the last time, but I like seeing it.
Didn't someone get like a 5th or a 7th last year?
JoJo at Big Buck, wasn't it? JoJo did stupid good at Big Buck.
I remember some absurd top AM results last year. I think a couple of them got top 10s.
Yeah. Yeah, but to the point, I mean, veterans of the class and everybody training together, I mean, it's just a recipe for faster riders, and I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to look at this. So, yeah, JoJo last year at Big Buck, 250A class, 5th place overall. Then you had a 13th in Indiana. Where was what did Gavin race last year? Wasn't it 250A?
250A.
Oh, here he is. He was 6th overall at Big Buck. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Them going 5th, 6th overall out of the A class.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I remember vaguely now. Who we got here? I'm just looking at the comments. Sorry, I didn't have the results up. Paul Alley, that was not me on an XR200 at Lost Valley, but I did see the video, and it was solid. Some dude ripping at North Carolina on an XR. There are a bunch of like new motocross bikes stuck on the hill, and this dude with like a cut-off shirt, no goggles, goes ripping up on a 97 XR200. Just
Hell yeah.
Smokes everybody. Made my heart happy. So,
yeah, we'll take a look at our women's pro class. Big Tom couldn't be with us here tonight. I'm sure he's watching in live. Do you think Lee grounded him from having such a potty mouth last week on the show? She had to call him out in the YouTube comments.
Yeah, well, that's what he gets for being disrespectful to his mother on, national podcast television.
Maybe that's what he told us why he wasn't here. He might be grounded. I didn't even think about that from that potty mouth that he had last weekend. But last week, Tom did bring up the point, will we ever see somebody else outside these 3 girls on the WXC podium? We waited 5 days to find out. Corey Steed takes the win. The reigning defending champion Danielle McDonald moves her way into 2nd place overall. And joining us on the podium, Shelby Turner getting it done. 3rd place overall. Taylor Jones in the 4th place spot. Just 1 spot off of the podium. Looks like 6 minutes, if I can see that correctly from here. Rachel Goodish in the number 5 spot, still on the lead lap 2. So it looks like some trouble for some of these girls. Brandy Richards, one of the key ones out here. Now, keep in mind, Brandy Richards has now raced 3 race weekends, 4 races if you include 2 days of racing at a sprint enduro, with a broken leg. Snapped her leg in half, and she's raced 4 or 5 races on a broken leg. This is her first race that she hasn't podiumed with a broken leg. And that's just an insane thing to think about. She has, at the time of the recording of this show, has not made an Instagram post, so we don't know. I don't know the details. It was raining pretty good, and we were in a rush trying to get things ready for the race on Sunday. Also, with time change, you go back an hour, get into Central Time, and then we went forward an hour Saturday night.
Dude, it hit me hard.
Bro, I woke up Sunday morning. My watch, my phone, and my iPad all had different times. Literally 3 different times. I woke up, and I didn't know what the
That
hell
makes
time it
no
was.
sense at all.
Yeah, one was Eastern Standard Time, one was Eastern Daylight Time, and one was Central Time. And I was like, so what time is it? So yeah, just confusing day to say the least. But didn't see what happened to Brandy. Didn't get to chat and see what went on. Jocelyn in the number 7 spot. But yeah, obviously not an ideal day for Brandy. Giving up some points there in that WXC class. So, yeah, not sure what the issue was at this point, but for her to get 6th after the kind of streak that she's been on here lately is definitely a bummer for her. I'm sure she's not stoked about that, but Corey Steed was absolutely stoked. Saw her a couple times after the race, so great ride from her. She goes out there, gets the win, got that big old number 1 plate. Danielle McDonald still doing good on that Yamaha. We saw her miss the podium, I think, by a little bit last week, if I'm not mistaken, and then backs it up with a 2nd place in the WXC class. Shelby Turner rounding out the podium, which Shelby Turner, Enduro Cross girl, hard enduro girl, another one of the ones that kind of does it all, does the gamut, and got her race win in Georgia, which was also coincidentally the 3rd round. Seems like these 3rd rounds seem to have a streak of not being great.
Did you see that in the comments?
I briefly saw it. I didn't get to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
So let me give credit where credit's due.
I think it was Kevin Campbell.
Yeah, Kevin Campbell says, don't know if anyone's keeping track. But 4th year in a row that round 3 was a shit show. Didn't think about it until I thought about all those muddy races in Georgia that I'm still scraping dirt out of places from. And then with Talladega being 2 years of the same. But nonetheless, Shelby Turner seems to excel in those conditions. She gets back on the podium, 3rd place.
Shout out Canada. Got your ass in hockey, though.
Oh, Canada. Yep. On both sides, men's and women.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at our point standings here.
So
do top 20. We'll talk about XC1, and then we'll check our XC2 points standings since they are graded on 2 different scales. Once again, the XC1 champion is decided off of overall points. So we pull up the overall points. Ben Kelly still has that points lead. He will have the white plate next time we go racing in Camp Coker, Society Hill, South Carolina. 63 points, going 9-1-3. Jordan Ashburn goes 2-9-8, good enough for 2nd place right now, 50 points. So 13 points is the gap between 1st and 2nd place. Just 2 points behind him with a blank on the scorecard. Stuart Baylor gets the win, takes advantage of the 9-point difference between 1st and 3rd, and gets right back in the smelling distance of this championship hunt. Jordan Ashburn, as we mentioned, he's going to be a guy that's going to be consistent. He's going to be there. He's going to score points. That's what Jordan Ashburn does. And he has himself in a perfect position right now, 2nd place in the point standing. Liam Draper scores points at all 3 rounds, 8, 13, and 2, salvaging that 13. We talked about that. What do you do on your bad days? Liam Draper rode through the center of a pond, flooded his bike. I went over, had a chat with him, couldn't get his bike to start. He ends up getting it to start, salvages some points with the 13th, and that's a big reason why he's still sitting there in the top 5 of the overall points. Mike Wachowski also scoring at all 3 in the number 5 spot. Craig DeLong putting up points at all 3. Definition of consistent. He had a 6.8 last week. Now he's got a 6.87. So 6.78, 7.89. You know what I mean? So Mike Wachowski hanging tough. So 42 points, 21 points back from the 6th place spot to the first place spot. And let's take a look at our XC2 point standings real quick. See how they shake up. We were trying to do quick math there at the finish line to see if Nick DeFeo was able to regain the lead. He did. He has 72 points going 1-9-1, so 2 wins there. And Jack Walker in the number 2 spot had the white plates coming into it, but we talk about the points gap all the time. There's a big gap that you get for winning. You get 5 points over second place. You get 9 points over third place. You get 11 points, I think, over fourth place. And when you look at the point standings right here that we have on screen, on the races that DeFeo won, Jack Walker goes 5-4. That is giving up a ton of points to the winner in those rounds. But then same thing, Jack Walker, when he got his win, DeFeo clocked a 9th for the day. So it just shows how quick that win can get you in. Brody Johnson, 8-2, 63 points in the third place spot. So I know we're kind of moving pretty fast, but the points for your first, second, third are 72, 64, and 63. So that one is tight as well. Jason Tino in the fourth place spot. Gus Reardon. Didn't see what happened with him this weekend. Obviously, he was a little fired up from leading Wild Boar and having a DNF there. I don't know, how many laps did he do?
I'm not sure. I just think that's kind of someone you need to watch out for because he's going to be I'm gonna screw this up right now. He definitely has the speed, and I think the next couple rounds, seeing how he does, because he's definitely a top 3 every weekend kind of guy.
For sure.
Which is a big shame how it's going so far. One.
So 1 lap.
1 lap for him, 1 for JoJo, 1 for Tino, or 2 for Tino, 3 for... Damn, Christopher Paris won there. That's kind of screwed up.
Felipe Cheney in the 6th place spot, the French-Canadian. I think he had some trouble. His wife was looking for him. He hadn't came through the finish line, so I think he might have got it towed out too. But, yeah. Going to be an interesting series, boys, throughout both of our pro classes. But, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the before the series really started about seeing like some like things in the track that kind of separate the men from the boys, like technical spots or difficult positions. I think these first 3, Florida's always like that. I think it's just more of like a who can hold it longer and who's in the best shape. But as far as round 1 and round 3, I mean, it doesn't really give a best representation to how I think the rest of the season will go in some spots. Does that make sense? Because,
yeah.
I mean, you have so many DNFs. You know, Johnny G got sick, and that's another thing. Johnny G got sick. From what I was told, they all got sick at a sprint enduro. So he gets sick, comes back. It kind of washes 2 rounds for Johnny G, which is, you know, pretty big heartbreaker for the year. But to that point, I just lost my train of thought 100%. I hit a wall real good.
But, I mean, that's also the tough part about the beginning of the years. We see these inconsistencies and kind of got a lot of people on new bikes, whether it's new model year bikes of the same brands or them switching brands altogether. So it's also trying to figure that out. And then if you got injuries or surgeries over the off season and don't get to get on the bike as much as you want, you kind of got to ride your way back into shape.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the other thing too is this quick turnaround between 2 and 3. It's the only time of the year, every year, that we race back-to-back weekends. So if you're hurt or shaken up or sick enough to have to sit out Wild Boar, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to make it the next weekend either.
Yep.
So, like, now we got 3 weeks before we go racing again. So any ailments or Johnny getting over being sick or Caleb with whatever he's got going on, now they got 3 weeks to kind of get ready, get prepared, and get back out there. Where is if something happens in the off season or early on, I mean, back-to-back race weekends takes you out of it pretty quick, as we can see with several riders missing 2 straight rounds.
Yeah, and as we've seen in the past, I mean, round 4, 5, and 6 could be mutters, and they can have all these same, you know, difficulties we've had. You know, hopefully not the same ones as far as riders being sick and this, that, and the other. But I just kind of foresee it being a little bit better weather, a little more consistent track conditions, hopefully. That's kind of me, like, speaking it into existence.
Yeah.
So it'd be very interesting to see how, you know, the top 20 looks with better conditions, because I think I think it's super fair to say that the 250A guys were in the top 10 overall or 5 overall because of how muddy it was. Like, usually you're not just going to see all the 250A guys rush to the front right off the bat. So hopefully Coker kind of flips the bill and we see a little more consistency in the results.
Yeah. I mean, to that point, too, like I said, there wasn't a lot of standing water at Talladega. Obviously, there were some mud holes. But you got to think, too, by the time you get 20 bikes, 25 bikes splashing water off the trail, by the time the A-Riders get there, they can kind of see where the lines have gone, where the guys you see it seems like week after week, the XC1 guys are down 6th, 7th, 8th place in the first lap. And it's because they're the ones seeing trail and breaking trail for the first time, especially like the Talladega section. They ended up taking it out for the morning bikes. So the afternoon was the first ones through there.
That's what I was going to ask, if there was any bike-only sections or how long it was.
Yeah, it was like 2 miles.
That's enough to slow guys down a ton, especially if it's a sheet of ice or just so slick.
Yeah.
I mean, you really need to have, 15, 20 bikes on it before you can start seeing lines that's tractable.
Yeah. And the morning race was supposed to run it, but given the conditions and how many people they pulled off the youth race, like the morning race started an hour late, the WXC race, because of the youth track and the conditions and stuff that was going on. So, but yeah, just kind of to that point too, like those A-Riders, one. Sorry,
go ahead.
Couldn't get that one to pass. They can kind of see people through the trees or even get close enough to where they can step up and see some of those guys. But even if they aren't there, they can see the lines that have been taken, especially in the mud. You can tell where the fresh lines are. So they're reading trail more than they're breaking trail in the sense of the front riders and what they're doing. So, yeah, I think that's another reason why we see their first couple lap times be a little bit better because of that. But then the XC1 guys keep plugging away. And for the first time in what seems like a really long time, the XC1 guys are your top 5, are the fastest guys out there on the track. Mostly, obviously, DeFeo getting an overall podium at the first round, but we'll see if we've kind of seen the self-correction at GNCC between the XC1 and XC2.
Yeah, and also for round 1 and round 3, I mean, it speaks super loud about if you're on a team who has enough people out in the woods. Because if you're a guy who's a privateer and you're racing and you only have 2 guys around a 13-mile track to help point lines, you're at a major disadvantage. If you are at a team that has, at least one person each one, everyone's biked the course and they kind of got an idea, you always have a shirt to look for, that's a big advantage for those guys. So
Absolutely.
I did see, just like I seen Gavin, I answered him smart-ass, told him to give me $6 and a Husqvarna t-shirt and I'll be his man for Coker. Guys like that who don't have a team behind them, obviously still super talented and doing well, but he doesn't have so many, Factory Husky isn't going to just grab him up and jump in the mud to get him, probably not, assuming. So it's a big advantage for those guys who are in the XC1 and XC2 who have that kind of support as well for these mud races.
Yeah. And so that is one thing that I kind of notice, and you can see it in my videos too, because I like to find my own spots, but then sometimes I will follow team guys because obviously they know where they need to go to get their riders. But one thing I've noticed more so lately than in years past is team guys from all flavors helping out everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pointing lines for everyone, not just their bikes. And especially too, you see Husky team guy and Gavin Simon gets stuck in a mud hole right in front of him on a Husky. I think he is probably going to jump in there and help him out a little bit. So you get a little bit of help, especially if you're running with that lead pack. If he can stay up there with the XC2 boys, fighting for that lead, guys like him, I think absolutely could benefit a little bit from it. But it is a huge advantage, like you said, to have KTM, dude. They got 25 people out in the woods. Everywhere there's a bad spot, there's a KTM
a meeting
t-shirt.
right before every race. There's meetings, and bossman will be standing here. Here's the track map. Hey, you two are here. You two are here. Everyone's got their e-bikes. Everyone's got their, their walkie-talkies, and just to that point, they have the support and they have the guys, and they have people who show up to the races just for that. Even Stu Baylor, they have a good team. They have a lot of people. He had to put on Snapchat, hey, we need more people. We need to be able to compete with the guys who have 25 guys at the races, like we need more guys in our shirts helping our riders.
Yeah.
And that's one of the good things about. I'm glad that's in the rules and it's allowed.
Yeah.
I think is it. I mean, it's super good advantage, but I still like that it's in because it keeps for the pro guys. It keeps people on track for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it helps a lot. So, like, one of the sections in my video, that same spot that I was talking about up above that creek, it was super gnarly, super rutted out. But that first time that I went there was a rider down that was hurt. So they had to bring in the medics, and Bolton and Barry Hawk were out there with him. And the medics came on the Kirk Caselli Foundation side by side to help him out. But Big Stu Baylor, Stu's dad, was out there, and he's like, hey, let's cut this rope back and send them up the high side so we can give them some space. And it was one of those lines where you never would have known it because it was roped off. And Fred Andrews was out there, and a couple other team guys were out there, and they were all sitting there pointing everyone the new line. Like from the moment the leader came through and everyone back, everyone's pointing the line around this rider. And I think in years past, you'd see some guys that are kind of like, let him figure it out. If he figures it out, it figures it out.
Yeah.
If not, let him go. But I think it is cool that a lot of those lines, like it is mostly fair for the most part as far as seeing those lines. But yeah, big advantage to have more team guys out there. And to your point too, Stu does put out some stuff trying to get some more people out there, and people come.
Yeah,
they go out there and they get waist deep in the mud and points lines and have a good old time. So.
Yeah, that was my plan. I wanted to go and get a Cowie shirt on and go out there and start ripping people out of the mud.
There was plenty of them out there to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grant Baylor was having a pretty good ride. Ended up having an issue with his bike. The starter fried. Got a Snapchat from that thing in about 1 million different pieces. So it was a bummer to see that. But yeah, no, didn't seem like any issues with the bike, just the actual starter itself. So it kind of stinks for freak mechanicals like that to take people out. Who else DNF'd in XC1? Is this Talladega?
Yeah, it's Talladega.
Yeah, so Thad we talked about, Grant Davis, obviously the 7.5 mile marker. And yeah, it looks like everyone else made it. We had a couple XC2 guys not make it, but brutal conditions, man.
Yeah, and I don't know the difference between the 2026 and 25s, Huskies and KTMs. Well, the Husky KTMs, the new ones versus the old ones, but that's what I'm hearing is starter issues. So I'm not sure exactly what the mechanics of it are, but bikes, they won't start. I don't know if they won't like bump start, they won't do anything. But like I've heard some factory KTM guys this off season have had that issue. Some of the Husky riders over there on the is it RPM? Am I dumb? Brody and JoJo, what's it called?
Racecraft.
That's the KTM team out west. The Racecraft Husqvarna. So I've just never heard of that issue happening. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know what it does to the engine and what it does. I mean, obviously you can't start it, but I don't know if it hurts the engine or what's going on with that. But I'd be curious to ask somebody who knows if they're willing to talk about it, what that's doing and the difference between the 2026 bikes and the 25s, because to my knowledge, I've never heard of it happening last year. So I don't know. But it's for the Huskies and the KTMs. It's happening to both of them.
Maybe all these money issues outsourcing stuff to China. Getting Chinese starters in there.
Kimco cylinders on them bitches.
I mean, I joke about that, but I wonder, like,
yeah,
if you got to cut costs somewhere, like, these brands, I would be willing to bet that most of them aren't making their own starters. They're all sourcing them and probably sourcing them from a lot of the same factories that make the same starters for all the other bikes too.
Yeah.
But no, that is an interesting thing to point out, especially in the world of tariffs, in the world of cutbacks, and in the world of everything that we're living in right now.
Yeah, because I didn't know there was any. I thought 2025 and 26s were very, very similar. So I just figured we would have heard about that before now. People having DNFs, because I remember last year the track record being pretty good for the Austrian bikes as far as, not having so many issues. Yeah, as far as finishes, we were always talking shit about the Japanese bikes dying. So,
did you see or hear anything what ended up ultimately being the problem for Grant Davis?
I didn't. So just Grant Davis.
Yeah.
I thought weren't we just talking about how that thing came in and it was
Yeah,
hot as shit?
Didn't sound great, but
Yeah.
I never knew what happened. Like whether that was a
Yeah.
starter or got
I didn't
sucked
hear
water
anything
or
either.
radiator or I don't know.
I didn't hear anything either. But dude, during them mud races, you know, I'm not super bad on a clutch, but I fried every clutch I've ever fried. Mud race. I mean, it's like Josh talking after the race. He's like, you know, my clutch was pretty much gone.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was happy to be riding well. I can't imagine Stu's clutch was good. That some bitch right there could go through a clutch in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, it could be so many things, but, you know, a fried clutch, I mean, you get the clutch hot, you know, the motor gets hot. It doesn't take much to melt one down, I don't think. To that point, though, I've had such good luck with my Austrian bikes over the years. It's hard to, you know, I haven't, you know, knock on wood, I haven't had a whole lot of bikes just blow up, and I've raced a lot of mud races. But these guys are riding them a lot harder, and obviously they don't really have to care about what happens after the race, so they're just going as fast as they can to get to the finish line. And then they take the motor out, they put it in a Pelican case, and it heads back off to California, and they get the new one, and they put it in, and guess what? Brand new motor. We don't give a shit. But that's what you got to do to be able to win races. If you're sitting there worried about the motor, you're probably trying to limp it in to at least finish, but, you know, once you get past a certain point, it's a ticking time bomb, and it's going anyway. So I haven't heard anything about Grant Davis's engine, but I would also be kind of curious to see how his hand felt after this weekend.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen.
Seemed like he was riding well, so it must not be hurting that bad. I mean, it might be hurting real bad. It could be broke, but by God, you know, we got our WXC Brandy Richards KTM rider with a broken leg, and we got Grant Davis with a, you know, let's just call it a broken hand for fun, and they're both having great finishes.
Yeah.
So, or at least up front if the bikes hold them.
And I didn't see any update. Well, I did. I got caught on the Racer TV drone. There was a little bit of delay for the afternoon race too, but talking to Busch Light Bill Davis there on the starting line, and I asked him how Grant was feeling. I was like, oh, hey, he's fine. Doesn't bother him at all. So, yeah, that one bone in his hand, obviously you're riding that much. I don't know if it actually gets fine or if you just get numb to the pain and get away from it and push through it. But either way, it didn't look like it was really holding him back none while him and Stu were with each other, kind of getting away from that pack because, dude, that was a big – it got to the point where it's like I was sitting there debating and questioning whether I stick around to get the other guys on camera or do I follow the leaders and really document this lead as much as I can. But there was 3 spots that I missed Stu and Grant. And if you go back and look at the video, there's a couple spots where it says miss leaders, and there was one where I was so late that I just didn't even try.
I laugh every time you do that.
Well, because I don't want someone to see Liam and then all of a sudden be like, "Oh, Liam's in the lead." So
just shit talking yourself in your own videos.
Yeah. Well, try to put some context, but when that gap is 2 or 3 minutes, dude, and then I'm waiting around for like third place XC2 at least.
Yeah.
I mean, now they're 6 minutes ahead. And that throws off my timing between my spots because I try to cut it as close as I can so I can get as many shots as I can. But when I get to the point where I'm waiting 6-7 minutes to get to third place in XC2 is usually my cutoff. And then they're so far in front. Like I said, those 2 times were in the video, but there was one time I showed up so late I couldn't do nothing but watch. I just sat there on my bike just watching. Seeing how everyone's riding, then make it to the next spot. So –
and during those mud races too, I mean that's another reason you gotta put a little caption in there because you know someone could sink just like Grant. You know, last lap you had a video of Grant out front, and then 2 miles later, oh shit, Grant's bike blew up. Here comes Stu. Like you never know what's gonna happen, especially in one of these mud races.
Yeah. So no, it's cool to see. It's awesome to get a front row seat to it. But yeah, when they get spaced out like that, it makes the job a little bit more more difficult trying to get those spots as tight as I can to make sure I get them. But it was a good weekend of racing. We keep saying it, but we're in it for the long haul this year. I think we're going to see a lot of tight battles. I think we're going to see all these championships come down to the wire. And I think this could be the year that we see an amateur on the overall podium if they can keep riding like they are.
I think it would have to be a mutter, a major mutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, major mutter.
Something crazy. I'm just
something crazy.
Trying to do wishful thinking because XC2 class isn't big, But when you look at the ratio of heavy hitters and guys that can win races compared to the amount of riders that are in the class, that's still a big number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got, call it 6 guys that could win races any given weekend, and you got 10 guys in the class. It's not going to be easy.
We have Luke Schott put, how do we feel about the privateer drama? What privateer drama is he talking about?
I could only assume that he is talking about Supercross. Our Starlink quit working, so I didn't actually watch Supercross this weekend. But I've seen some of the stuff brewing up about Cooper Webb talking junk about lappers, and Eli talking junk about lappers, and Hunter Lawrence saying he's going to get his little brother to protect him from lappers. Well, not lappers, Jorge Prado.
I didn't think that was, I didn't think he was, really out of line. He was just saying if KTM's going to do team tactics, I got a brother that can do the same shit.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about this?
I don't know. Why not? I don't know a lot about, like, I feel bad even at Daytona Supercross. It's like I didn't know what to ask in the press conference or what to ask on press day because I haven't been as tuned into Supercross as I have been in years past, just with everything else going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know the key points of it. Obviously, the Cole Thompson thing was a little bit different for us because Cole, I'm pretty sure, lives and definitely trains at the Shoals. So he's close with Stu and Jade, and
that was very unfortunate. The
all
Cole
of their
Thompson
family.
thing.
Yeah,
I don't know him, so I'm not biased, but just watching it, like he was pissed. Like obviously the comments he put out, but watching it, and I need to rewatch it again because I might misspeak. But Hunter jumping in between two of them, trying to get around both of them, it was pretty ballsy. And I think mostly they're talking about like Freeze. Yeah. Because Freeze almost killed Eli Tomac.
Yeah.
It was pretty – I'm not saying deliberate he meant to do. I think he was trying to get out of the way, but he just didn't have time to –
No, it's just what he does.
He's pretty shisty.
It's hard to – see, and it's way easier to be able to talk about Supercross guys on here because I don't know them.
Yeah.
Like I tiptoe around stuff about off-road because I got to see these guys every weekend. But when it comes to Vince Freeze, you try to give guys the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Like Cole Thompson or like anytime any of this stuff happens, you try to give him the benefit of the doubt. But when it's happening with the same guy every weekend, every other weekend, it's kind of hard to give him the benefit of the doubt in that one. And I don't know the guy. I just watch him on TV. But
yeah, I get it. That's how he makes his living. And, I mean, one extra position might be, $4,000 for him for the week, or it might be $10,000. I don't know what his bonuses are. But that was – you could definitely be a smarter person and figure out, hey, maybe I don't try to kill like one of the greatest riders of all time and maybe take myself out at the same time.
While being lapped.
And the Cole Thompson thing, whenever, and maybe I'm 100% wrong, but whenever Eli and Cooper were both talking about the lappers, and I don't, like I said, need to watch it again. I'm sure there's blue flags flying, but they got their own race going on too. Hunter jumped right in there and just punted him. Like, Cole didn't know he was landing right there.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think they were 100% talking about him unless there's a deliberate comment about him. And if there is, right over my head, I don't watch that shit either. I watched the race, but I didn't, I don't know the drama. Yeah. But at the same time, like, to Eli and Cooper's point, I don't want to see just 10 guys out there racing. Like, I know they say that the promoters got to do something and this, that, and the other, like make bigger stipulations or whatever. But I want to see 20 people out there. Maybe not a 40-second track. Maybe don't go to Indy if you can't put a big enough Supercross track out. Maybe go to bigger venues. Maybe change it up. If you can't get 17 good-sized tracks, go to 13. I don't know what to tell you. A whole lot of drama. Social media drama.
A lot of those tracks are set up in baseball stadiums, and Indy is one of the ones that's at a football stadium. So I don't know why they would have trouble making the laps long enough there. But
maybe I'm wrong. 48 seconds is what I believe they were saying they were.
It was, I saw Eli's comment being sub 50 lap times. So it was definitely under 50 seconds.
Yeah.
But Yeah, the Cole one, I think I saw him come out and say that he didn't expect Hunter to be able to triple from the inside right behind that, so he didn't expect him to be there when he was there. But yeah, Freezy like just cross jumping like he did, and Eli barely being able to check up. Like,
dude, that would have been if he would have took him out, dude. The world would have exploded.
Oh,
that dude would have got shot after the race.
He would have got ran out of there.
Oh yeah.
But then he makes all the posts afterwards about racing out of a van and beating factory guys out of a van. But it's like, I don't think that's what people are seeing you for right now, bud. Like, I don't know. Just a tough situation. But I've seen some of the like comments, and I've seen some of the people talking about like, what is the solution? And I think Supercross is unique in the fact that at a lot of motorsports and a lot, even GNCC, the factory guys aren't on an unobtainable bike.
Yeah.
They got some unobtainium in some of them just to help with like longevity or to suit rider profiles or like what a rider wants to feel. But they're not making insane amount of power. They're not doing anything special to those bikes. So one of these A riders can lead an overall or get 5th overall, like compete with these pro riders. And you look at stock car racing and other forms of motorsports where it's kind of regulated more to keep people tight. Supercross is the exact opposite. I mean, you got a $10,000 bike racing a $100,000 bike. And those top factory teams, dude, you can't get anything that's on that bike or in that bike. And they got all these computers, all these sensors. And so the gap between those top guys and the guys that are barely making the mains is just night and day different. Like the pace is night and day different.
Yeah.
So it's like I saw some of the solutions being thrown out, and like some of them are kind of fun to entertain, but it's like, is there a real way to make a solution for something like that? One of the things I saw is once you get the blue flag and get lapped, you pull off. Your position sticks. Because really, once you get lapped, it's not really like you're gaining any positions unless someone crashes in front of you. I mean, you might battle down and pass someone for 14th, but a lot of times those guys, once they get lapped, they kind of stay where they are. So I saw something about if you get the blue flag, you pull off. But Freezy was getting the blue flag. Like, he would have still been on the track for that cross jump. And Cole was just getting lapped, and he still would have been on the track. So it's
then whenever they try to get off the track, somebody'd end up getting swiped, and then it'd be like, oh, you got off the track wrong. And there's not a great way to do it other than make wider tracks, make longer laps, like make the venues maybe more suitable for 20 riders, like sub 50 second lap times with 20 guys, and 10 of them are way faster than the other 10. Maybe not great. You know, maybe just make a little bit different track. Maybe make it to where it's got to be a certain amount of time or a certain length or a certain size.
How do you think it would work in Supercross if there was more of like homologation rules or limits to what you can do? Like if there was horsepower limits, where they kind of made it to where a privateer's bike could compete with a top guy. Like, do you think that would close the gap in time? I think it would a little bit, but
it absolutely would.
There's one, and like I've seen people say before too, like, because people talk about the 450s being too fast and people getting hurt and doing this, that, and the other. So like I've seen people say that like the open class or the 450 class as we know it is like a modded 250 class.
Yeah.
And then the 250 class is a stock 250 class. So it's like I wonder if something like that to give some of these guys a better opportunity to compete with what they got, not being able to spend $100,000 to get a bike made. I wonder if something like that could. I don't think it would ever catch on in Supercross.
No.
It's like F1.
Yeah, it's like I love seeing the unobtainium motorcycles. Like I love seeing from the 90s all the way to now. You see the trick bikes. You see Ken Roczen, Suzuki. Like it's not even close, even freaking close to the bike that you can go buy at Great Western.
Yeah.
Way different. And I'm a fan of just how everything is right now. But I think it would be super cool, like just the idea, throwing it up there as 450 limited, 250 limited. Pipe, suspension. That's it. Motor work, pretty stock. I mean, it'd be cool to see. Then you really see manufacturers, the difference between a Honda and a Suzuki and a Kawasaki. And I think that's kind of blurred line nowadays because the bikes are so different from what the factory, like the stock bike is. So, I mean, you have the Suzuki that Kenny's on. And a Suzuki 450 is very similar power-wise. Like, they're 450s. They're still fast. And a good rider can do anything with any bike. Just like the sleeveless T-shirt dude on the XR200. 97. Hell yeah. I think it'd be a great idea to see, more stock forms and, like, very limited engine and, hard parts, like not seeing a whole lot of, like, carbon parts, like super lightweight bikes.
Titanium, everything.
I would love to see Eli Tomac on a stock KTM 450 skid plate, acro exhaust, and cone valves. Would love to see Kenny on a just stock Suzuki, Pro Circuit FMF, whatever he's got, bold new graphics, and a revalve. Like, that's cool to me. I think it's cool. And I think the lap times, you see a huge difference.
Yeah.
But, I mean, those guys can tune good suspension. Let's say you just give them the good suspension, and everybody can get pretty good suspension, I think. Like A-kit, $20,000 suspension. I think that'd be super cool. Suspension, pipe, stock engine internals pretty much. Maybe a better clutch because I think they'll explode stock clutches. Maybe that'd be like a safety thing. But, yeah, I'd love to see more of a 450 limited, 250 limited style.
That's what I mean. Like, maybe, set a horsepower limit. And they dyno the bikes just like they do sound testing for the bikes. They can get two birds stoned at once and do sound testing while they're dynoing it. But do something to limit the horsepower so that still gives you the freedom to change the clutches, change your suspension, change your geometry from triple, like however you want to modify the bike. Like that then becomes the game to get the fastest bike, not who can pull the most power out of it.
Back to 125s and 252 strokes.
I don't know if we need to go that far.
I think we do.
Yamaha would dominate.
No. I'm thinking 06 KX 250 because that's what I got in the garage right now. 93 CR 250. No, I for sure. I think it's a great concept going back to like a limited class, sort of, so to speak. But that's all the drama I know. I don't know enough about Supercross to sit here. And I mean, somebody who actually pays attention to watches like Tom right now is probably freaking out.
Yeah.
So
the day I'm not here, they talk about Supercross.
Tom rolled his ankle. Everybody, that's one of the reasons he's not here.
Yeah.
I guess it's not good. I guess it was a good Saturday when he did it, and he did it again tonight leaving work.
Didn't sound good.
And he's not pumped. So not laughing at you, Tom, but I have a bad right ankle, and I roll it constantly, so I get it. Didn't want to come up the stairs.
Yeah, that might be our longest Supercross segment yet, so hopefully we made some sense of it.
I probably didn't.
What else we got to talk about? Is there anything else? Ryan Villapoto is now
RIP.
No longer a Blue Crew ambassador. Just hurts my heart. It did rev my heart before. Now it hurts my heart. Goes back to Cowie, which it took a while for me to get used to seeing Villapoto on a Yamaha. And when it happened, I'm like, he spent his whole career with Cowie. Why did he go to Yamaha? Why didn't Cowie?
It's just like seeing McGrath go from Honda to a Cowie ambassador. That makes no sense.
Yeah. So Ryan Villapoto makes the jump back to Kawasaki. We lose a Blue Crew ambassador, which does suck because at the press events it was cool to see him. He likes to have fun.
Yeah,
he's a fun dude. But yeah, one of the first press events that I did.
Now you just see him at work. Cowie ambassador, working for Rocky Mountain Red Bear.
I texted Stu instantly. I was like, I'm not happy about this, but we have to find a way to get him out at a race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Axel Hodges Daytona said he wants to come out and race another one.
That'd be cool. I think it's super cool too. Whenever he did swap to Yamaha and he did some podcasts, did Gypsy Tales, he talked about the Cowie 450s that he was winning on and how he didn't he struggled with it a lot, and how looking back on his career now, longevity wise, if he would have swapped to Yamaha before, or KTM or Honda, something that maybe he felt more comfortable on.
Dang.
How it could have changed things, because he did. If you go back and watch one, it's a super interesting watch. Him talking about the 2012 bike and even start back at the 06 bike, loved it for especially that kind of time. What it was, 2012, when he was winning Supercrosses, just talking about the bike in general. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I just kind of wish I would have changed things up. It would have longevity wise, and now he was riding YZ 450s. He's like, dude, I wish I was racing this thing. It's sick.
Yeah.
So I like seeing guys change and not being affiliated with the manufacturer they were on, because they talk about what's real. Like Ricky Carmichael, whenever he was on Gypsy Tales, he talked about it. And he's like, oh, the Cowie, this is why we changed the Honda. Honda kind of screwed me, and then I didn't have anything. And then told Suzuki $5 million, and I was like, they ain't calling me. 2 days later, I get a call. Well, here's the good news. You got $5 million. The bad news is there is none. You got $5 million. You're racing Suzuki's.
Suzuki.
He's like, shit. And then he ended up liking it, and obviously, the rest is history. So now everyone pretty much, I think, remembers Ricky Carmichael as RM252 stroke RMZ 450, battling Stu in 06. But hearing like the real breakdowns of what people think about the bikes, like to the point Ryan Villapoto, I think it was super cool. He's real and talks about the differences.
Yeah.
So, and now he went back to Cowie, so they must have just offered some change. Go.
Yeah. And, yeah. That was a bummer receipt. But like I said, it's kind of a nice homecoming for him, but obviously sucks to lose him on the Yamaha side. One of the first press events I did, I was trying to find the hotel or trying to find something. So I'm like looking down at my phone, like trying to look at my maps. And I try to get back over, and all of a sudden this car comes over next to me and pushes me literally off the road, like farther off the road. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I look over, and Villapoto is driving. He's sitting there laughing at me, and Damon Bradshaw's in the passenger seat, like pointing, laughing at me. And it was just one of those situations where it was really funny when it was happening. I was like, did I really just get run off the road right now by Ryan Villapoto and Damon Bradshaw? But then, like, all those press events, dude, like, the beers and the dinner and stuff afterwards is where all the stories and all the fun comes out. But then, like, seeing them there and like riding and getting to chat with them and stuff, it was cool. So yeah, bummer on that end too. I know that's a very selfish reason, but
How old's his son that races, roughly?
I don't know. He did the KTM thing not long ago.
It really suck. He has to go race a KX65 now. No fun.
Does Cowie make a 65?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think they still make them. They should, yeah. Bold new graphics since 2003.
Yeah.
Or 04. 03 was a KX60, I think. I might be wrong on that. Anyway. Yeah, that's our motocross talk.
I don't know why I can't stop yawning. I apologize, everybody that's watching and listening to this.
Off weekend for Nationals this weekend.
Yep.
Be nice for you. You hang out a little bit.
Got to figure out a way to get to Oklahoma City next weekend. Way harder than I thought.
Yeah.
There's no direct flights.
Oh, there's one. It's Plummet Airlines.
Let's do it.
It's in Cherokee 235.
No, I was looking it up, and literally there's not one available flight in a time frame that I can take. There is one straight through flight, but it's like $1,500. And then to fly to either Tulsa or Dallas, it's a 2.5 or 3 hour drive. You got to rent a car, go do that. And most of those still aren't direct flights, but it's a like 20-hour drive. So
Matt Chamlin's in the chat, and he was talking about flying, but maybe you and Matt get together and hop in a car, cruise together, teammates.
It's the
drive.
It's the 45 hours in a car that I was trying to avoid.
Matt's got a mustache. He'll hang out with you.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I thought about riding down there with one of them, but then it's like, I don't know how early they're leaving. I don't know how late they're staying. And I'm still in a car for 40-something hours. So.
Yeah, no, I get it.
One way or the other, we'll find a way to get to Oklahoma next weekend. But right now, we're at the point where I got to find a way to get to Oklahoma next weekend.
Yeah, I think I'm going. I just don't think I'm riding. I didn't sign up, so I think we're just cruising over there as an excuse. So, but then this weekend we got full gas on Saturday, sweep riding, and then I believe 93 CR250 is going to ride the vintage class at J-Day. J-Day is at Club MX this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So, going to try to make our way out there this weekend. Shannon Mitchell, Caleb Russell, asking why Caleb Russell wasn't racing. You got here late, brother. We already talked about it. You done screwed up. So, potential, was it knee injury? I was here, but
that's what I was hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, potential knee injury for Caleb, so no Talladega. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking there's so much shit to do this weekend. There's a couple different series opening up. There's 2 series up in Ohio starting this weekend. I think maybe our buddies over at who's the results we looked up the other day? You're the guy on here that we talked about a little bit.
E-Rock. No, they start mid-April.
Mid-April. I think JXC up in Ohio is starting this weekend. It's finally getting warm enough up north to start racing again. It's not frozen, so race season is underway everywhere, it looks like.
We're in the midst of it. 3 rounds into GNCC. We'll do our second round of National Enduro next weekend, and then going to Camp Coker, and then off for Easter, and then going to Mississippi, and then going to Tennessee. That's all I got memorized for the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks, however long. Everything is 6, 7, and I'm not even doing it on purpose. It's just how it came up today. But
I won't do it again.
All right. You got anything else, Craig?
Nope.
I think we got it all covered. Thank you, Yamaha, for revving my heart, being a part of the program. Remember, if you're shopping Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com, use the link in our bio, use the link in the description wherever you're listening to this podcast. Click that link, shop as normal. We get a small commission from it, and we appreciate your service of doing that. It helps us out, get to places like Oklahoma that are really expensive to fly to. Yeah, doesn't cost you anything, doesn't affect your prices, just gives us a little small kickback out of Rocky Mountain's pocket. So we appreciate you guys doing that. Appreciate them being a part of the show. DPG, be on the lookout for the next ride day at the DPG compound, and hit up Zach Tussle for all of your investment needs. Now is a great time to invest. TussleInvestments.com. Thank you guys for all being here and listening to this program. Thanks, Craig, for coming by. Tom, we hope your ankle heals up. We'll see you next week on the Pipe Podcast.